Just thinking about this, the tears of the year witch can't stop flowing down. He is afraid that the male protagonist will do something outrageous to him. Sure enough, you can come whenever you are afraid of. I saw that the male protagonist suddenly hugged him from behind. The full moon witch thinks it's pretty big. His own reputation will be completely destroyed. But just then, the bodies of the two suddenly emitted a dazzling. Original. The male protagonist launched a skill called Magic Catcher, since the two had already reached an engagement. So just make this move. The combat power and attributes of the two will be shared. It's good for both. But the magic hunt takes a while to complete. Before that, the two of them have to keep this embarrassing action. Never separate. But just then, the magic crystal that the witches communicate to each other suddenly appeared in front of the two. The person at the other end of the magic mirror is the subordinate of the full moon witch. After some remarks from the subordinate, the full moon witch just remembered. Today's the day to hold a meeting for the subordinates. But now this looks like, forget about meetings. Even if you just let people take a look, they will misunderstand. There's no way but to fool it with illusion first. I saw the full moon witch waved her big hand. He planned to use illusions to hide the male protagonist. Sure enough, when the full moon witch came to the conference room, no one noticed that there was a person hiding behind the boss. But the little secretary of the full moon witch suddenly said, "Now that the witch is ready, then sit down and have a meeting with everyone." As soon as you listen to the 3 words, "sit down," the full moon witch was suddenly dumbfounded. How can I sit down? But if you don't sit down and wander, subordinates are likely to find anomalies. It will be over by then. There's no way for the full moon witch to grit her teeth. I stomped my feet and gave up. But the male protagonist seems to be a little hidden. He shouted, "Wait a minute. Not now." But it's too late now. The voice has not yet fallen. The full moon witch sat down. This blow pierces the stars. The expression of the full moon witch already says it all. Although the case of the full moon witch has collapsed, it is not accurate. But there are so many people here watching. The full moon witch has to hold back whatever she says. Simply said a few words. The full moon witch immediately announced the breakup. I haven't waited for the subordinates to finish reporting the work. The full moon witch immediately crossed back to the room. It's too risky. My illusion can't hold on for a second. But a wave of unresolved waves rises again. Just then, suddenly came from outside the door the voice of Lydia, the witch of desire. The full moon witch is completely yellow. If that crazy woman Lydia finds out, you have to eat yourself. But the voice has not fallen. Aggressive, Lydia. He kicked the door open. It seems he already knew that the male protagonist was in the room of the full moon witch. But he fixed his gaze, but found that there was only one full moon witch in the room. Fortunately, the magic level of the full moon witch is high enough. Otherwise, it's really screwed. But when he thought he had escaped, little dragon muse Lori popped his head out. We also mentioned before the male protagonist and the full moon witch, while playing games in the room, all seen in the corner of the window. He's pretty sure the male protagonist must be hiding in this room now. Even if the two of them want to turn upside down, also find the male protagonist. Seeing the two of them getting closer and closer, the witch of the full moon was too scared to speak. If you get any closer, his illusion must be seen through. But look at their menacing expressions. I knew I couldn't escape this time. Sure, enough. Lust Witch Lydia soon noticed the anomaly. He suddenly teleported to the full moon witch. Then he grabbed his right hand. Take a closer look. There's nothing on hand at all. At the same time, corners also searched every corner of the room. I didn't see the figure of the male protagonist, so the situation suddenly reversed. The full moon witch pointed at Lydia's nose and cursed. A tyrant like you, unreasonable woman. You deserve to be single forever. Example question, although I want to refute. But I'm really unreasonable. I can only leave angrily. But before leaving, Lydia also warns the full moon witch can marry dustless. Only me. Theocracy can only be me. The full moon witch is also suffering at this time and cannot tell. There is no such thing as a divine fist. This is all dustless to deceive you. I fell for him. As a result, he has now become a grasshopper on the same rope as dustless. But just then, a small hand suddenly jabbed his arm. The full moon witch looked back. It was a little lowly. At this time, the male protagonist asked curiously, "Why do you all call him Lori? Could it be that I haven't waited for the male protagonist to speak yet?" The full moon witch replied, "Yes. He is your other old friend, Dragon Muse Lori." Upon hearing this, the male protagonist was instantly stunned. "You are kidding, my sinister muse. How did it become like this? All of this goes back thousands of years." At that time, the male protagonist and Lori were a good pair. They teamed up. I don't know how many demons have been invaded. On a beautiful evening, the male protagonist told Lori he hoped that Lori would help him forge a pair of rings. Without thinking, Lori agreed with a red face. After all, the two have flown over countless mountains and seas together. Male protagonist this life has become an indispensable part of him. It's obvious. Lori thought the male lad wanted to use the dragon gray ring to propose. So Lori ignored the opposition of the dragon patriarch. "I insist on forging a ring for the male protagonist, even if his divine fist is taken back by the dragon clan." He doesn't hesitate, but in the end we all know the reason why the male protagonist asked Lori to forge a dragon ring. Not to propose to him, but to propose to Lydia, the witch of lust. That's all. Lori has been waiting on the lookout for 1,000 years, but he never waited for the male protagonist to propose to him. Finally, Lori, who was robbed of his divine fist, became like this. Thousands of years of waiting let Lori's love for the male lead slowly turn into ruthlessness. He finally came to terms with the fact that he had been lied to. For revenge, he is willing to cooperate with his former enemies. The Witch of Desire collaborates. The goal is to kill the male protagonist, and the reason why he found the full moon witch now, just to unite him for revenge. After receiving Lori's invitation, the full moon witch deliberately glanced at the male protagonist. The male protagonist did not speak, just nodded. The full moon witch sees this and agreed to Lori's invitation for revenge. Lori also found dark elf muse Shiv. Same as Lori, Silver 1,000 years ago, also betrayed by Wu Chen's scum. And Silver is worse off than anyone else. He had already married Wu Chen. However, on the wedding day, Wu Chen chose to run away from marriage. This caused the elf queen Shelf to directly blacken on the spot. The heart is polluted with hatred. She became the dark elf queen she is today, like Lori at the time. Shelver was also stripped of his godhead as a result. He can only be forced to join the Witch of Lust. Lydia's flight. The purpose is to take revenge on Wu Chen. That's why Lori went after him. So, Elori and the Witch of the Full Moon, and 3 people led by Shelver. The Avengers are officially formed, and their ultimate goal is only one. That is to take the big scum clean and kill to keep warm. On a dark and windy night, the 3-person team officially launched the operation, and at this time, our male protagonist has no idea about it. Only see. He pulled out a book called The Scum Self-Help Manual. Get ready to learn. In fact, the male protagonist is also a poor person. He did have a crush on Lori and Shelford. Did some scum. True. But at that time, after all, I was just playing computer games. He never dreamed of it. One day, I will travel back to the game. And everything you've ever done to your game characters have become a living reality. The voice has not yet fallen. There was a sudden knock at the door. Open the door and take a look. It turned out to be Lydia's servant, Danny. Danny told Dustless, at the direction of her master, Lydia, brought him some milk to replenish his body. The male protagonist naturally didn't think much of it. He directly picked up the milk and drank it. The next second, the glass in the male protagonist's hand suddenly shattered to the ground, and the male protagonist also suddenly felt weak in his limbs and fell to his knees with a plop. Obviously, that glass of milk was poisoned. Wu-Chen hasn't realized what's going on yet. The next second, a familiar figure suddenly appeared in front of him. Sure enough, the Danny just now was actually changed by Lori. After seeing Lori's figure, the male protagonist realized that something was wrong. It's too late. Vengeful Lori instantly took out his supporting role. The target was directly aimed at Dustless's head, but just in time, a green vine suddenly tied Lori Practice's left hand, and he looked back. Turns out it was Shelf who stopped him. Before he understood what was going on, he was already trapped by Hilf's vines, tied down and the male protagonist at this time. He was also helped up by the Full Moon Witch. Good guy. There are 2 traitors in a team of 3. You thought it was 3 against 1? It turned out to be 1 against 3. The Full Moon Witch stands on Dustless's side. I believe everyone is no exception. After all, the 2 have long been grasshoppers on the same rope. Koselv, what's wrong with you? Dustless healing that has not been poisoned yet. Lori is a little angry. Shout out to Hill in amazement. Did you forget? How did you become like this? Muse is now a witch. Don't you hate Wu-Chen? Shelf was still unmoved by Clory's cries. Once upon a time, he dreamed of tearing Wu-Chen to pieces. And then he did. The male protagonist falls to the ground randomly. Do you think this is the end? Actually, no. When the male protagonist was dying, Shelver uses therapy again. Save the male protagonist. After the male protagonist wakes up, Shelver backhanded him again, this time around. But it tortured the male protagonist. But that's not all. Silver is still concerned about the male protagonist's escape from marriage in this life. Brooding, he warns the male protagonist, if you don't give yourself a reasonable explanation, then just screw your head off. Now, the male protagonist is even more flustered. You can't really be honest with Silver, can you? Tell him your world is not just a game. And myself, it's just not a player who has crossed over. Boy, that's true. But ghosts won't believe it. There is no way for the male protagonist to tell another lie. He lied about running away from his marriage, following the orders of the Muse of Creation. The purpose is to break into the inside of the witch and trick the witch into marrying him. In this way, you can obtain the power of the witch. Then the male protagonist may meet told happiness. After you complete the task, you will take you far away. Finish the wedding that used to be ours. But it's such a flawed lie. Shalvar, he really believed it. This really confirms the saying that the chest is big and the brain is not. After getting the promise of the male protagonist, Silver hugged the male protagonist and kissed him on the spot. After the kiss, Silver also said, "I'm looking forward to that day." And then we also learned the other fellow of the male protagonist is so lonely. In order to avenge the male protagonist who owes a love debt, unite Shelf and the Full Moon Witch to prepare to assassinate the male protagonist. But Lori never dreamed these two people are actually with the male protagonist. The three-man team has produced two traitors. How can this play? Lori's failed revenge plan. Looking at the figure of the three together, Lori doesn't understand. Why are former enemies able to talk happily now?